What if the Social Security benefits you rely on suddenly shrank, not because of something you did wrong, but because of a quiet rule change buried in a government notice? That's exactly the concern right now, as new leaked information suggests Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, could be facing another major shakeup. For millions of households, especially the lowest income seniors and people with disabilities, this could mean losing benefits that were only just improved last year. When we're talking about groceries, housing, and survival, even a small cut can be devastating. So let me ask you directly. Do you think it's fair for the government to reverse policies that finally gave struggling SSI beneficiaries a break? Should small acts of kindness, like a bag of groceries from a neighbor or help with rent, really reduce someone's benefits? Stay with me, because today I'll break down the leaked information, what it means for SSI, and who could be affected the most. And as always, please like this video and subscribe to Social Security Post so you don't miss any of the critical updates that could impact your benefits. Recently, word started spreading about a leaked notice from inside Social Security. It hasn't been made official yet, but if history is any guide, these leaks often preview what's coming in the weeks ahead. According to this leaked information, Social Security is considering rolling back key definition changes that were made just last year, changes that helped expand eligibility and boost monthly SSI checks for thousands of households. This matters because SSI beneficiaries are some of the most vulnerable people in the country: low-income seniors, people with disabilities, and households barely getting by. If these rollbacks happen, it means many of those same people could lose money every single month. For households already living paycheck to paycheck or benefit check to benefit check, losing even $50 or $100 is enough to cause real hardship. Over the past year, Social Security has made a series of announcements about new rules, only to walk them back later. Time and time again, officials present a change, raise hopes, and then backpedal with a "just kidding." For many beneficiaries, it feels like promises keep being made and then broken. That's not just frustrating. It destroys the trust that people place in the very agency responsible for delivering their monthly checks. When credibility collapses like this, seniors and disabled individuals are left wondering, can we rely on anything SSA says anymore? Every rollback chips away at confidence. And now, with the latest leak suggesting even more reversals, many beneficiaries are feeling like the rug is being pulled out from under them again. That's why this issue isn't just about numbers. It's about trust, stability, and the dignity of the people who depend on these programs. Let's rewind for a moment to last year. In 2024, Social Security made two very important changes that turned out to be lifelines for SSI beneficiaries. The first was a redefinition of what counts as a public assistance household. The second was a redefinition of in-kind support and maintenance, or ISM. While those phrases might sound bureaucratic and technical, the reality is that they translated into bigger checks and wider eligibility for real people. For many, those changes opened the door to apply for SSI when they couldn't before, or they allowed existing beneficiaries to keep more of their benefits without punishment. That meant extra money for groceries, medications, and bills. In other words, these weren't abstract policy tweaks. They were life-changing improvements that made SSI a little bit more fair. Here's how the rules used to work. For a household to be considered a public assistance household, every single member of the household had to be receiving some form of public assistance. If just one person wasn't, the entire household didn't qualify. Imagine a family of 5, where 4 received assistance but 1 did not. Under the old rule, that household didn't count, and SSI eligibility could be denied or reduced. Last year's change flipped that definition on its head. Instead of requiring every person to qualify, the rule stated that only 2 members needed to qualify. Specifically, 1 SSI applicant or recipient plus 1 other person receiving public assistance such as SNAP. This seemingly small tweak opened the door for an estimated 200,000 households or more to apply for and receive SSI. That's not a small number. That's hundreds of thousands of families who were finally given access to much-needed income support. In-kind support and maintenance, or ISM, is another technical phrase with huge real-world consequences. Under the old rule, if an SSI recipient received any outside help, whether rent assistance from a relative, groceries from a friend, or even a bag of food from a church pantry, their benefits could be reduced. Even small acts of kindness were seen as support that had to be reported, which often meant lower SSI payments. Last year's change eliminated that harsh penalty. For the first time, SSI beneficiaries could accept help without worrying that Social Security would claw back their benefits. A family member covering part of the rent or a neighbor offering food no longer triggered a reduction. It was a recognition that community support should not be punished, and it meant thousands of recipients saw their checks increase. For people already living on extremely limited incomes, these reforms were a lifeline. They meant higher monthly benefits, expanded access, and the ability to accept help without fear of being penalized. For many, that extra money made the difference between paying the electricity bill or having the lights shut off, between filling a prescription or going without. It's important to remember that the maximum SSI payment is already very low, well below the poverty line. Any boost in eligibility or reduction in penalties has a powerful effect. These changes were about more than just technical definitions. They were about giving dignity and breathing room to people who are often ignored. Now comes the troubling part. The leaked notice indicates that Social Security plans to reverse both of these definitions. That means the stricter, older version of public assistance household would come back, requiring everyone in the household to qualify, and removing SNAP as a qualifying program. It also means in-kind support, like groceries or housing help, could once again reduce benefits. In practice, this would shrink eligibility for SSI and reduce monthly checks for many who currently benefit from the 2024 reforms. For people who only just got a small break last year, this would feel like a betrayal. It would take away hard-won progress and push vulnerable households back into greater financial hardship. Not every SSI recipient will feel the effects, but those who do will feel it sharply. Households where not every member receives public assistance will suddenly fall out of the category. Seniors or disabled individuals who rely on help with groceries or housing will once again be punished for that assistance. The cruel irony is that the people who will be hit hardest are exactly the ones least able to afford it. Low-income seniors, people with disabilities, and families already struggling. In other words, those who most need stability will be the ones pushed further into instability. So when could this become real? Officially, nothing has changed yet. But historically, leaks like this are often followed by a formal SSA announcement within a few weeks. That means we could see confirmation sometime in late summer or fall. Given that this is always a busy season for Social Security announcements, with COLA updates, payment changes, and new policies rolling out, it wouldn't be surprising if this gets folded into the mix. That's why staying informed now is so critical. If the rollback does move forward, beneficiaries need to be prepared. It's not about creating panic, but about being realistic. Leaks often turn into policy, and waiting until it's official can leave people blindsided. When you step back, the question becomes, why does the government keep targeting the lowest income beneficiaries? Many people feel like these cutbacks signal just how strapped for cash Washington really is. Instead of raising revenue in other ways, it feels like officials are nickel and diming the poor to make ends meet. Meanwhile, billions are spent on projects and programs that don't touch the lives of ordinary Americans. That mismatch leaves a lot of seniors feeling angry and disillusioned. Why should the poorest households be asked to sacrifice first when government waste continues unchecked? It's a question that deserves to be asked, and loudly. One question many people have is, will this affect SSDI, retirement, survivors, spousal, or VA benefits? The good news is no. At least for now, this leaked rollback seems targeted only at SSI. That doesn't mean other programs are safe forever, but at the moment, Social Security retirement, disability, and veterans benefits are not included in these potential reversals. Still, SSI beneficiaries are often overlooked in the national conversation, and this change proves how vulnerable they remain. If the rollback moves forward, SSI recipients will once again be left carrying the heaviest burden. Technical definitions like ISM, or public assistance household, might sound like boring legalese, but they directly affect whether people get benefits and how much they receive. That's why it's critical for seniors, advocates, and families to pay attention. A rollback here doesn't just change words on paper, it takes money out of people's pockets. Awareness is power. If enough people understand what's being proposed, they can contact lawmakers, share their stories, and push back. Silence, on the other hand, almost guarantees these changes slide through unnoticed. So here's the bottom line. Leaked information suggests Social Security may soon roll back the very rules that boosted SSI benefits last year. If that happens, thousands of households could see smaller checks. It's not official yet, but history tells us leaks usually become policy soon after. That's why staying ahead of this news is so important. I want to hear from you. Do you think it's fair that a bag of groceries or rent help could once again reduce SSI checks? Should SNAP still count toward household eligibility? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And please, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to Social Security Post so you don't miss the updates that matter most to your benefits, your checks, and your future.